Is the streaming? I'm not able to see that stream.
Yeah, yes, sir. Just a network issue. I again clicked on the stream now.
Okay. Is it happening now? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, my dear friends, I just wanted to start off API integration again today. Why? Because this is a heart of every dynamic application. Being a Angular developer or front-end developers, we should always have a knowledge on how are we going to send a connection request from client to a server, and how server is responding with the data. All this information that we wanted to understand, my dear friends. Now, to explain, I implemented that API calling in block component. Let me go back to a block component. I subscribed the API which I have created inside my service. Today also I am planning to explain about one more API, how I am going to call. So since I have created a product service, I thought of creating one more API, my dear friends. Now, everywhere people are struggling because of COVID. Now, let me display the COVID information. How are we going to display that COVID information inside our website? And I'm just taking one live example, and I'm planning to display that COVID statistics in our website. For that, my dear friends, we also need a COVID statistics API where we will try to get the COVID results. Now, for that, let me go back to your internet, and COVID website is there. COVID, where you will get all. See, this is one of the website where you will get all the information with respect to your state and district wise information that we are getting it. Now, if you can see here, this is an open API where you will get all the information with respect to the state and district wise information, which is in the format of JSON. Now, this information, how are we going to display into our ExcelR app? That is what I would like to explain today. This is one real life example which I took, and how are we going to display this? Now, guys, listen carefully. For that, I'm just going back to my service, the product service. So inside a product service, or else I can also create one more service, my dear friends. Why? Because since I can also put it inside this product service, but it is meaningless. Why? Because the API to whom we are calling, that is something related to the COVID statistics. But the service what we created yesterday, that is related to product service. Now, being a developer, you should always understand the concept, and you have to create a respective files, relevant files for relevant tasks. That is also matters a lot. Now, for that, let me create one more separate, what I'm going to do. I'll try to create a separate service file. For that, story is same. And I'm going back to my application root folder. Let me open a command prompt by using cmd. Here, eng generate service name. I'm generating a service. So what sort of service that I'm planning to generate, you see here. So let me generate a service, COVID stats, COVID-19 service. In the name of COVID-19, I'm generating one service. So see, that command is attempted to create two different files. One is service.spec.ts, another one is ts. Guys, listen carefully. Everywhere the spec.ts file, you need not too much worry about that particular file. And if you are planning to write a business logic, make sure that you have to write a business logic inside ts file. Now, let me go back to that particular application. So since you have created a COVID-19 service, now this service also we should make an entry inside my root module, that is app.module.ts. However, we imported a product service. Similarly, I should also import my, so let me import the service which I have created just now, that is COVID service, single quotation, and COVID-19. This is the COVID-19 service. Service.ts file only you have to import it. Now the class file, I think COVID-19 service. This is my class. Now copy this particular class which I have imported and try to load it as a provider, as a second service. I just given an information to my app module so that app module is going to execute it the moment when we are compiling an application. Okay, next what I'm trying to explain. So let me go back. And so for displaying this COVID statistics, either I can even see now the service is ready. Service is created, but inside a service I should also create a method which is going to connect to a middleware where the COVID statistics that we are collecting. So sorry. Now here we have loaded a service, but inside a service, now this is just a skeleton which is created by a Angular CLI. Now here, as I already said, we have to load some sort of HTTP client. So we need HTTP client. Let me import that HTTP client from my HTTP command. So here from Angular @Angular common /HTTP. So we have to import HTTP client module. So this is required HTTP client, that's all. HTTP client module we have already imported into our app.module.ts. Now HTTP client we have to import into my component into my service wherever you are planning to send an Ajax console. As it is, now I'm just passing this particular service as a parameter, HTTP client the data type. I'm just giving my module as a data type for this particular HTTP client property. Now this particular process is called dependency injection. We are injecting okay. Next, so what I'm planning to do is I'm planning to create one more method where it will try to get the COVID stats. Now see here, I'm creating one method, COVID stats. So this method is responsible to collect the details from a COVID website. Now guys, listen carefully. Within this method, I'm just using a return statement and using this dot HTTP client dot so get method. So since it is a get method, this method expects the API URL. Now this API URL, let me go back to my internet and this URL. This is what I'm just open API where I'm going to get this. Very simple. Now don't even think that calling an API in Angular, people used to think that it is tough. It is tough if you don't know the first always. If you don't know the language, you will feel it is tough. If you know the language, and definitely it will be easy. So now I created a COVID stats method, and this method is returning whatever the output which is written by a API. Now you see that the entire return response of this API, we are returning back to the, now whoever is calling this COVID stat method, we are returning the result. Now, since it is a HTTP Ajax call, if you wanted to consume this COVID stats method, since it is a service method, make sure that you have to import this service into a component. Now let me choose in which component that you are planning to display that stats. And under service component, guys, listen carefully. I would like to implement that COVID stats result under a service component. I'm just going back to a service component in my application. First and foremost thing, I must have to import my COVID service. Importing COVID-19 service file. Service here. How? Import. Now service is outside COVID-19 service. Very simple. This is how, since everything, guys, in Angular, whatever the module that you guys are creating, all of these guys are external modules. That is where you will be able to import them. Now this COVID service, I must have to inject it to my component as a dependency injection. Why? Because see COVID-19. I'm just giving COVID-19 as my local object. For this, I'm giving a custom data type as the service. I'm giving as a data type colon the service. If service class file, if I am giving as a value, then the COVID-19 will turn as an instance for COVID-19 service. By using that instance, I'll be able to access all the properties and members of my COVID-19 service file. This is what the dependency injection helps us. Now, guys, listen carefully. So, inside my ng on init, so which is a lifecycle method. So, ng on init constructor and ng destroy, and few lifecycle methods are there. Those lifecycle methods automatically execute the moment when the component changing the states. And component also has a different stages. And the moment when you create a component, that is called initializing stage. When we are updating that component into a DOM, which is called as mounting. So it is quite common in every framework which is there in front end. Now mounting stage, unmounting, updating. These are the different stages of component is there. On each stage, the component also has some lifecycle methods. Those guys are self-invoking methods. Like that, ng on init is also a lifecycle method which invokes automatically the moment when the component initializes. So that's fine. So now you see here, my dear friends, now I'm just invoking my service. This dot, the service object, COVID-19 is my service object dot, COVID stats is my method. Since it is a method, so I'm going to subscribe the data. Subscribe, it is very important. This subscribe, whatever the data that we are collecting from the subscription of my service method. So let me put it inside. Subscribe. The subscription is very important, my dear friends. Now here, guys, let me explain. So you should also understand, my dear friends, if you look after this example, everywhere the component is the one where we are using to display the data. These guys are building block. Now if you consider this is a page and this is one component 1. Think about it, this is another component, this is another component. Like that, if the page has a couple of components, the component is a building block of an application. Now, generally, the data resides in a database. So this is a quite common diagram. Throughout my program, I have executed multiple times. Why? Because being a front-end developer, you should understand all these concepts. Now, the data stores in a database either in the format of RDBMS, Relational Database Management, or in the format of DBMS, Database Management System, or in the format of flat file system. So whatever the format that the data stored inside the database, that is none of our business. Now, end of the day, we must have to present this data into my front end in a beautiful way. That is what ultimate goal of a front end developer. Now you see here, the components are responsible to display the data. C4, C5. Every component is responsible to display the data. That is where Angular plays very important role in order to prepare a data in an efficient way and beautiful way in presentation layer. So whatever the concept that we learned so far, all the concepts are helping us to build an application quicker, faster, flexible, and we can also improve the performance of an application by using an Angular. Next, you see here, in between, the middleware is also very important. Why? Because without a middleman, there is no option for client cannot connect to your database, and database cannot communicate to the client. So due to security reasons, this again I'm telling you multiple times, due to security reasons, these connections we have to restrict. These connections we have to restrict it. That is where we should always send a connection. Now, in between a component, the service layer comes into a picture. Now, services comes into a picture in between. This we have already discussed yesterday, but again, I'm telling you, the service has a capability to connect to a middleware, and service is capable to get the data. And so here, service is observing a data. So sorry, sir, guys, listen here. Your middleware is observing a data from a database. This middleware is observing a data. That is why we can call this as observers. So whereas coming to these components are subscribers. The one who is observing a data from a database, we will call them as observers. The one who is consuming a data from middleware or maybe a database, we will call them as subscribers. Now always component has to subscribe a data. Service is sending a request. Now you see here, from component to the service to the middleware, and middleware to the database. This is one way. This is all called as request layer. This is we are requesting, and we are also getting a data, that is a response route. We can say it is a response route, request route and response route. Okay, so here the subscription is very important. In case, see the data, if it is there in the database in the format of table, now slowly see, however, if you guys are ordering an item in an e-commerce application, so in an e-commerce warehouses, the item which is stored in a warehouse in a different format, but the moment when it is delivering to the customer, they would have packed in a clean and neat fashion. That is important. You see here, however, the moment when you are constructing a house won't even look so beautiful during the construction stage. The beautifulness and the styles are getting added only on when you are finishing the house. The finishing is very important. So even if you are very good at in starting, if you don't know how to finish it, then you can't become a successful person in the world. That is why finishing plays very, very important. So how you have to give a proper styles and proper CSS. The look and feel is very important to finish it. Similarly, getting a data from a middleware is not going to be makes any sense. We have to display the data into a presentation layer in an efficient way. So if you are presenting a data in a presentation layer, then only we'll be able to say that this is efficient way. Now see, this is just a theoretical part. Okay, now let me see how are we going to explain practically. Again, sir, we are subscribing the data. Now let us distribute that data into my component. Now I wanted to check whether the data is completely coming from my service to component when we are subscribing. To test that, I am printing the results inside my console.log. Now the data which we have collected from a response, we are subscribing. Now go back and execute your service. See, this ng on it is a method. Even though we are not calling this method automatically executes. That is how these hooks, we can also call these guys are hooks. The hooks are special member functions that will invoke automatically the moment when Angular insulages, ng on in it. Similarly, there are different kind of life cycle methods also there. I'll also explain those life cycle methods today. Now go back to our application and click on our services. Now if you click on console, go back to your console, you will be able to see that. Now you see here the object, sir, which is giving complete information. Now you can also see that there is a huge information that we are collecting. You can see here. Now this information is in the format of JSON. This is a JSON object. Now each object is also has sub objects. Each sub object also has even some more objects. This is how the data is represented. You can see here the data which is there in the format of JSON, we are collecting into our application. Now see, somewhere else which is there in COVID website, that information we have collected into our client side, front end application. That is the power of building a service layer. Next, if you come back here, let me see. How are we going to display that data in a beautiful fashion? That is where you guys have to keep writing the logics. Guys, listen carefully. And if I wanted to display the data, so first, in order to collect the data into my local property, I have to create a property inside my service component. Now you see here COVID data, colon, I'm just declaring the type as any, and I'm not even assigning any values. But the moment when we are, see, this is a property which is not even assigned any value, just definition of a property is done. Now the value which we are assigning, the moment when you are collecting the data, this dot COVID data is a property is equal to, we are assigning the data what we subscribed from our service method. Understand? Now see COVID data. Now this property, this is a keyword. By using this, we will be able to access the properties of our class internally. If you wanted to access the properties or the methods outside of a class, we have to create an instance. But throughout your Angular application, no other place we are creating an instance of a class. The instance of a class which automatically created, you need not to worry about it. The moment when you are making an entry inside your app.module.ts, when we are bundling an application, the instances will automatically create. That will be taken care by your Webpack. Webpack is a package bundling tool. Babel, Webpack, NPM, all these guys are a different sort of tools. NG, Angular CLI. These tools are helping developer to build an application as quickly as possible. Okay. Next. So now the data in my local property. How are we going to display this local data into my component? Now every component has HTML file. In HTML file only we will be able to present the data. Now guys, listen carefully. So I am just using UL. I am planning to display all the information in a UL and LI fashion. So now let me see what sort of logics which I am writing that is very important for all of you to follow me. Now this is the ELI which is going to repeat multiple times. For that we are using structural directive that we learned yesterday is equal to, so let, we are creating a local property, let first state information, states in COVID data, whatever the property, This property we assigned a values by subscribing from a service that is our collection. From our collection, we are extracting a state object, my dear friends. You see here. Now, I am going to display that state object as a string interpolation. This is called data binding. So guys, if you wanted to build an application using Angular, you should have a thorough knowledge on website development. At least you guys have to develop an application by using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. At least one application, if you build, then you will be able to understand what is web application development or what is mobile application development. That's why please do understand directly. If you wanted to learn Angular, it will be little bit confusing. That's why you must have to learn, because Angular is a advanced concepts of UI development. You must have to start from HTML to Angular. So there are thousands of openings are already there in the market. Why? Because the front-end development is quite mandatory for every application. No matter whether it is a startup company or bigger companies or a small companies, everywhere this front-end. However, guys, since all of them are students, if the girl looks beautiful, the guys are going to watch her. If the guy looks beautiful, girls are going to watch us. Similarly, if none of them looks handsome and beautiful, nobody is going to watch each other. Similarly, if the website is not looking so great, none of them are going to come back to your application. In spite, the people are going to give a negative comments in case if your site is not looking so great. That's why the companies are coming forward and they are investing huge amount to make their front end more beautiful. I hope you people are experiencing a person with makeup, a person without makeup. And we used to see some trolls in WhatsApp, Deepika Padukone photo with makeup, without makeup. This is how people used to give importance to a style. The makeup plays very important role when it comes to a product. No matter whatever the product it is, the finishing always plays very important role. Got my point. Now Apple, if you look after that Apple product, was the cost of an Apple product, if you see 17,000 rupees or worst case by 20,000 rupees to build any Apple products, no matter whether it is iPhone X or iPhone 12, Max Pro, or if you take iPad, whatever it is, maximum the retail price of building an iPhone or whatever this Apple phones, maximum 20 or 25,000. Why people are charging more than a lakh? Because of their finishing and because of their brand value, because of their features. That's how the finishing plays very important role. All these front-end frameworks and libraries, which are very important for our companies. That is why front-end developers are always in demand. Now I can see, since we have been giving the trainings for a people, and we have trained almost closely 20,000 plus students across the globe from a couple of decades. Sincerely, I'm telling you, my students are getting more than double. I mean to 6-digit salaries. I mean to say 20 lakhs, 25 lakhs. Some people are earning 30 lakhs of salaries as well. That is the power of a front-end development. But if you have just only a knowledge on HTML, CSS, you can't even become an expert in front-end. You can't even get a lakhs of salaries. You should have a solid knowledge on the frameworks like Angular or React or Vue.js, and you should also have hands-on experience. That is where ExcelR always takes into a step forward, and they will always give a real-time examples. We won't even rely on a static examples. We are not even just giving like a plus b whole square or a minus b whole square or a plus b, a minus b. No, this kind of silly examples that won't even help students. So we will always rely on a real life. That is why today a code example I just picked up to explain about how are you going to make an API calls. Now, since we got information, you see here, let me print only a state, my dear friends. If I try to print a state, and you will get to know what is the data that we are displaying here, state. Now go back and execute it. If you execute, you will be able to see how the state information that we are, yes. Now, since there is an issue, NG foreign, let state in. Sorry, here for off we have used state of COVID data. Now syntaxes state of. Now object of type ng for only support binding to a iteratable such as arrays. Now since the data is not getting, now see we got an error. Now if you are getting, see when you are working on real time, when you work with the real life examples, you will get this kind of errors. Now cannot find a differ support object of type. So why? Guys, let me check what is the type of this particular COVID data. In order to check the type of COVID data, now the type of is one of the operator in JavaScript. That operator will help us to identify what type of this data which is subscribed from my service. Now go back and try to check what is the type. Since it is printing object, ng for only support binding to iteratables such as arrays. Now since it is in the format of object, that is where, so which is giving the troubles. Now how are we going to convert this? Now if this is not an array, now ng for directive is facing the difficulties to iterate that array. Now in that cases, the formation that we're supposed to do it, how are you going to do this kind of formation? That is where the business logic that we have to keep writing here. Now guys listen, now I am going to use for in, I am going to use it. Now you see here, let states, I am just writing a logic inside my this dot, sorry, states in this dot COVID data. This dot COVID data is my property. Now you see here, understand what is the logic. Now let me print the console.log. I am printing my states information. Console.log. Let me print my states information. This is how I am writing a logic. So that is why in a component PS file is responsible to handle the business logic. Component HTML file is responsibility to display the view layer, and CSS file is responsible to the styles. That is why every file has significant importance into your application. That is where you guys have to understand what is the importance of each one of the file when you are working. Next, let me move on. So if you execute it, go back and see in a console whether you are printing all the states information. Yes, of course you are printing. See here all the states information that you are printing inside your component line number 20. Now this particular state information that you have to put it back to one array. Now guys, if the backend team is giving in the format of array of objects, now listen carefully my dear friends, the format also matters a lot. If the people are giving array of objects, then it is easy for us to iterate inside my view layer. The COVID data will be iteratable for an arrays. Since it is giving a format of objects, that is where you are converting your data in a proper format wherein ng4 directive is going to help. This kind of decisions, if you wanted to take, you should have a solid knowledge and technology. That won't even come overnight. That's why you guys have to train under experts. Guys, I would like to give one simple example. Hope you people are aware of Mahabharata. So don't even try to think that why this trainer is talking about Mahabharata, Ramayana. It's not like that. There is everywhere, there is a relationship. I'll tell you my dear friends. So Dronacharya, I hope many people are aware of Dronacharya. If people are from a different, religion, don't even think that I'm just talking about only this, but whatever it is, every religion says we have to do good and be good. That's all. But here, why I am picking up this example, my dear friends, now we have Arjuna. We don't have Arjuna. And we have seen a characteristics called Ekalavya. Guys, why I'm just explaining, but everywhere, see, Arjuna has trained under Dronacharya. Arjuna has trained under Dronacharya. That is where all the information which was written for a guru, Arjuna has learned all the information. But Ekalavya is also learn archery without Dronacharya. He has put, his statue, and with the help of that particular, he has learned. He worked hard and he has gained all the information. But end of the day, Dronacharya can't even perform, and he can't even make use of his education because he has not trained under a guru directly. That is where the guidance also matters a lot. That is what I am very important, especially when since you guys are the students. For every student, the right guidance is always important. Now I have seen, I have thousands of examples, my dear friends. The students who are having a right degree, they are working in a wrong fields. Even though they are very good at logical side, they are still working in designing, testing, other than their interested areas. That is where why the youth is not able to perform very well, and youth is not able to get a good jobs because they don't have, many people won't have right guru. That's why the guru plays very very important role. Now your 24 years or 22 years of degree is not helping, but these crash courses, this real time training institutions are coming forward, and they are giving you a real life examples wherein companies are expecting a real life. Why? Because the university syllabus is outdated, and the companies, software corporate companies, are expecting a latest syllabus. But our college, so even it happens, it applies to me as well. When I post graduated from Bangalore University, now after completing my MCA, when I search for a job, everyone are expecting advanced knowledge, but my college did not even thought. Why? Because those advanced concepts were not there in our engineering and my post-graduation MCA program. That is where I also struggled a lot. So to avoid that kind of problems, I am coming forward, and I already associated with ExcelR, and ExcelR is giving, it is bridging, it's bridging between corporate companies and the colleges. That is where we are here to help all of you guys. Now you please understand, when we are helping, make sure that you try to utilize our knowledge, and we will not only expertise in one area, we are also expertise in multiple areas. Now you see the way how, what sort of examples. Now every example, now the data is not in expected format. The data which is given by a backend is in wrong format, or whatever the format, it is not suitable for our front end. That is where again we have to restructure it. So when you are buying a ready-made shirt and pant, sometimes those ready-made shirt and pant will be exactly suitable for your body. Sometimes those guys are not exactly suitable for your body. If that is the case, again we should go for alteration. Same, the life is also alteration, my dear friends. Okay, now let me see how I am altering my data according to my particular requirement. Now, if you come back, now all the states. Now for states information, let me push it into one array. Now I'm just creating states array. States ERR. I'm just making it as any. I'm assigning empty array. The default value I'm assigning. After looping through, now you see here this dot states ARR is equal to whatever the information that we loop, that is states, we are assigning. Guys, we don't want to assign it, we have to push it into array. We have to push. This is the method that we learned inside our JavaScript. Let us push the state which we have iterated from a loop. Now at last, after the loop, if you print console.log my states array, you will get to know this is how array manipulation that I am doing. This is what you guys have to learn. This dot states array, if I print, first, being a human being, we should have a lot of patience. And those who are showing anger, or those who are anxiety, first, that won't even help. Why? Because And during the young age, even I also uh, thought of many things. I want to become billionaire. I want to become this by watching a movie. So maybe many people, the moment when you watch a movie, if the movie is action movie, maybe in the movie itself, even you will also get involved into that movie, and you will also feel like you are a hero. And if the hero is keep hitting someone else, if you try to hit same in real life, you will get to know whether you are hero or zero. Don't even try to do all this, because real is different and reality is different. And people will also their imagination world. And people, some people will be there, I got 95%, I got 70, 80%, I'll get easily job. No. Job, a responsible job, a good job, a right job for you, that is very important. That is where ExcelR comes back with a lot of expertise. We can even craft, we can help you out by giving the right information. Today, why we have planned Angular? Angular is in booming. That is where we pick up Angular, and we are giving a free of cost for you people to understand what is the importance of Angular. Similarly, so there are other programs are also there in front end, like React.js is also popular, Vue.js is also popular. All of them you must have to learn. For all of them, the foundation is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript is a parent. I can say it is a boss. So now array we constructed, guys. Let me come back. Since we constructed an array, now you can even go back and see all the states we have pushed. There are 37 states that were pushed into one particular array. Now you can see here still ng-for only supports. But for each array, again, we have to prepare a data. So now guys, listen carefully. We should also collect an object. Now here, what I'm doing, so states in this.covid data. So line number 21, West Bengal, it is printing each one of them. Let me check what is the parent object. Now the parent object, so here the state, so Andaman, Andhra Pradesh, but inside the state we have a district data. So this district also we have to keep pushing into my array. Now how are we going to push the district data? Now to print, you see here, so I'll also push into state array. What data that I am pushing, you please try to understand, my dear friends. In this COVID data, let me push this.covid data of states. If you understand this logic, very simple logic. Inside my collection and COVID data of state, that state anyhow it is giving Andaman and Karnataka, Andhra, all the state information. Now we are pushing into my state array. Now go back and see what is your state array. Now it is an array of object, my dear friends. It is array of object. Now since I prepared array of object, now go back and try to check whether the information still that array of objects is giving an error. Now state array. Now we have to iterate this state array. Why? Because we should not even iterate this COVID data. This is in object format. But ng-for is expecting array format. That is where I am going to change my logic inside my view. This is HTML is a view layer. Now since state array that we are going to import from a state, and let me print that state and see what is the output that we are going to get. Now guys, there is no error, but since it is also an object, we are collecting object. Guys, listen carefully. Now I am planning to is district data. Now inside my array of object, you see here that I pushed into my array 0 of district data unassigned. This is 0 and 1 district data 0 Nicobars and North and Middle East. Again, see, we have to iterate the district data. Now you see here, let me print only state. Again, I am going to use one more loop. So now let me do state array of state. So here we have to use dot notation. State dot district data. What is the key? So the key also very important. Now copy this key. Let me print the district data key. So what we are going to get, let me see. It should also be array object that it has to print. District data of undefined. That is fine. Now let me inspect and check what is the information that is printing here. I want to check. It's just a marker. Okay, the data is not even printing here. Now state dot is printing in an object format. Okay, now this object we have to iterate it. Still the data is not in the right format, my dear friends. Let me go back and try to check what is the state. It should be always in array of objects. Now let me put it inside one more loop. I'm just keeping to one more loop. Anchor for anchor. So let me put it one more loop. Or else I am also going for one more list, either order list or another list. List item. So here I would like to write one more ng for. Ng for is a structural directory is equal to let state is also an object. We have to iterate it. Data of state. Since it is one more loop that I am running inside the state, let me print only a data. Now if I try to bind a data from my state object, let me check what is the data that we are going to print. So it is giving bullet points. Since it is a list, I wanted to check what is the value that it is printing. Where and the LIs are not iterating. Now since LIs are not iterating, the LIs are not generated. So if you wanted to fetch, now let me see what is the console. Now again, so ng for supports binding iteratable such as arrays inside HTML5, component HTML line number 5. Here, since again this data is not in a format of array. Okay, so if you are getting this kind of wrong formats, and you guys have to struggle a lot in order to display the data. So now Angular structural directories are flexible enough. The same way, now since we are already worked on APIs, now fetch API that we have already seen, a product fake APIs, fake product API. Now I don't want to waste my time to go back to this product fake APIs, and we have already seen some fake APIs yesterday. Now you see the response of this APIs, my dear friends. You see, if you click on products, those guys are giving array of objects. Now I am going to implement this. I think we have already implemented this. So too many products are there. So this is, since now my plan is to convert that particular result in a format of array of objects. Since I failed to convert because it is taking too much of time to convert that. So since we have a less time, my dear friends, let me stop this. Why? Because now the format of this JSON, if you see, now this format, if you look after this, both of them are different formats. Now this is, let me beautify, JSON beautifier online, JSON beautifier. We are also, see, we have to depend on too much of tools. That also very important. Beautify. Now you see, I beautified it. This is in the format of array of objects. Now this is array each object. Now if the data, if it is there in array of object, this is very easy because that ng-for directories are compatible enough to iterate your array of objects. If this kind of APIs, if backend team is given, if they are giving a wrong format, then how are you going to take a call? That is where you guys have to interact with your backend team and ask them to change the format according to your front end. That is one solution. Or you should also write too much of logic inside client in order to convert your own format. That is where. But if whichever the way, if it is taking too much of time, then please do not, even if client side, if you are modifying, it takes too much of time, do not go for that approach. If the backend has a less efforts, if they will be able to complete as quickly as possible, ask backend team to modify it. Sometimes if the backend takes too much of time, if client is easy, use client side. That is how, like, collaboratively we must have to work together. The front end backend team has to work, put their hands together, and they have to come back. If this kind of problems comes, I can also write, because see, if you guys give me some time, I can also convert my response into in the format of array of objects. But if I am keep changing it, and it will try to write too much of time, I don't want to do that. Okay, now that is where, so I'm just happy to display my products and I'm also expecting the backend team to give a API response in the format of array of objects. Now everywhere you see that, everywhere they are giving in the format of array of object, but this COVID API, they are giving object-object format. Now ng-for structural directories are not compatible enough for iterating object-object. They are compatible enough to go for array of objects. That also matters a lot. Hope you understand. Now to display this, let me go for category API. So I'm just changing my API endpoint. Let's listen. And so I'll go back to my service. In service component, let me modify my service in product service. Sorry, COVID-19 service anyhow. This is giving a different format. That format will try to leave it. And product, in product service, again I'm going to write one more method. Fetch the categories. Fetch categories of a product is equal to return this dot HTTP client for making an Ajax calls. Since it is a GET method, so I'm just using the endpoint URL. Okay, now this API is responsible to fetch the jewelries. Now this API let me consume inside my service component. So I'm just changing. So even this COVID data, these guys are become useless now. Since we have to write too much of code, let me comment out these lines. Now guys, the data here, I will try to make one more property, category data, any. Now this category data, so what we are going to put, this all manipulations are not required because this is giving in the format of whatever we are expecting. This dot category data dot, we are assigning the data which we have collected from our API. Now this category data is an iteratable array of object. Now let me print this. If you print this, you will get to know whether it is an array of object. Again, if it is not array of object, you guys have to struggle a lot. So first, before iterating into a view, you please try to check what is the response that we received from our API. That also matters, or else there will be a time waste. If you keep moving ahead and try to inspect an element, go to a console and see what is the response that we received from our service. Now, line number 20, COVID stats. So since we have used a service, COVID service only we are using. But now we have to change the service. Instead of importing COVID service, the product service only we have to import. Now this one I am commenting out. So you should also understand why I commented out this while looking my code. I will try to upload this code today. We are giving all the access to whatever the exercises that we have completed during our training and service component. I think what is my component name? Product component. 2 steps backward I am going, and product service. In this product service, let me use product service class. This product service, so we are also giving product service. You can give any name. This is object that we are creating, customized. This is user defined object for your service class. Now this service object instance, you must have to use it in order to call the method. This is not a COVID stats method. Why? Because the product service, the method is changed. What is the method name? Fetch categories. Now since it is a method, you have to give function brackets, then subscribe. Now go back and reload. You will be able to see the output. The data is in. See, now it is array of object. Guys, make sure that you need not to wait unwantedly. You don't need to waste a time. In case if you are getting a wrong format data, please try to ask your backend to give a right format. So backend team, if they give wrong format, again you have to struggle a lot in order to iterate it, and you have to fine tune it according to your front end requirement. That takes time. Now let me print this. Just give me 1 minute. Now that particular information I wanted to print in my component. Okay. Now how I am going to print that information in a component. Now this category data. So now we have to see what is the format of my category data. So if you go back, so we have an ID, title, and we also have a price. I think jewelry. This is jewelry category. So price is also there, and we also have image, I guess. Category, jewelry category. We have an image. Yes, image. This much of information it is there. If you wanted to display this information, how are we going to display this information? So for that you have to write a iteration. So go back. And also let me try, or else there is another any COVID information is there. COVID website, APIs to fetch the result. So if those guys are giving any right information, because someone is suggesting me, let me go for that on your suggestion. So authentication API, metadata, appointment, certificates, schema. Mhm. But that's okay. That takes unwanted time. It's fine. So our intention is to display the data. That's okay, whatever it is. Now, whatever the logic that I have written today, I should also explain about pipes also. So to explain about pipes, I just need some data to be displayed in my component. Now, since I started, let me finish that code. If I come back, now this category data is array of object. Now inside my view, I can also give a same. Say, today I'll try to explain in a tabular format. Guys, listen carefully. I am going to, yesterday I have used, card. If you go to your blog, I think I have used, card. This is a card. Now, how I am going to display in a table, you guys please try to understand. Now, for a table, guys, don't even waste your time. Since you are good at, Bootstrap, copy a Bootstrap table. Bootstrap table. Just give me 1 minute. I'm getting a call from my dad. Sorry, guys. Okay. Since I got a call from my dad, so even everyone are struggling because of COVID. I'll get a call from my dad, I'll be, scared. Why? Because he's an old guy. It's okay, by God grace, he's doing good. Thank you. So next, what I'm trying to say, let me complete it in a tabular format. To display the data in a tabular format, so bootstrap tables, table bootstrap 4. Because instead of writing a code from the scratch, you can copy paste it. And how quickly I can finish it up, you please see W3 schools or whatever it is. Wherever you go, you please copy it. If this is what, in case, in our response, we have a price, description, category, image. This many. Title, price, description, category, image. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This 5 we have to display. Now to do display that 5 columns we need it. Now here only 3 columns are there. Copy this table. Now entire division I am copying. Copy this. Now guys, here let me see table heading. I don't want to repeat table heading. So here we are going to display what is the format of my data. Let me see my format of the data. This is enough. I don't want these tabs. Now title, serial number. ID is called as serial number in our case. Now anyhow, let me print one more heading, serial number, and title of a product. Title of a product. Next, category of a product. Let me print one by one. Category of a product. Next, description of a product. So PH. We are also printing, image. If you wanted to print image of a product, and the price. Somewhere if you wanted to print the price, these are the headings. Now when it comes to data, guys, listen carefully. Only the body body tr only we have to repeat it. That is where our directories comes into ng for directory is coming into the picture. And here let what we can say, data, category data, category of category data. The category data, you please try to copy paste in a component, service component TS, wherever you created your property as category data. From that particular category data, we are extracting category. So in this category, serial number, we are binding category dot ID. Now similarly, you see here what the techniques which I am using. So since again I am talking because this is very important, that is where today again I discussed about it. And serial number 3, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now if you come back, according to that category and second heading is title. Now title also, please copy it. The property that we have to copy it, change it, and what sort of category, category dot category, and image. So image inside, in case ರಾಕೇಶ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಬ್ಯುಸಿ ಆಗಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಸೆಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಕಾಲ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಸರ್. So now category description. So for that, let me copy the property called description and image. So if you wanted to display image, we don't want to display like this. Image, we should always use img tag. Image src is equal to, we have to put image. Now for every image, we also need alternative text, alt. So here alternative text, let me give category title. Now at last price. I think we are good. So go back and reload. You see your application. You will get to know how the data is printed. Now this is how the data is printing. Since the image is bigger, so this is we have to control this image, guys. So for that, a Bootstrap has predefined classes, and let me use today image img fluid class. img fluid class. This is how you can even display the details. Only jewelry category. The basic table here you can even display change according to that. Products under what is a category. Now the category also, what we can do, we can also print here category data of 0 dot category. Now products under jewelry. So this is how, guys, now you see here I wanted to introduce pipes. So since the data we are printing in a small case, how I am going to print that in a capital letters, and there are few pipes which will be used to transform data in one particular state to another state. I mean to transform a data into one state to another state. That is where these pipes are coming into a picture. Now let me introduce what is pipes. Okay. Now, so here we are going to display cap and uppercase. We go for uppercase. This is one of the pipe which is a predefined pipe. Let me see whether this pipe, if it is a right pipe, and you will be able to see the transform into uppercase. Now uppercase. Now go back to the website and see if there is somewhere, I think we failed it, uppercase. So what is the error? First let me check what is the error. Now template parser error. Category data 0 dot category of uppercase. Parser error, I think somewhere could not be found. Uppercase, yeah, spelling is wrong. So that is what, guys, this spelling is wrong. Now let me save this. Uppercase. Now your data is completely, you see here there is one error that we can also check. Now the data is printing. Now products under jewelry category. You can also see that. Now since the response which we are collecting it from a backend, whatever the format that you are collecting it, that doesn't matter. And if you wanted to transform a lowercase into uppercase into lowercase, that is where this pipes comes into a picture. Now let me brief about what is pipes. In Angular has a bunch of predefined pipes, such as, let me list out a few pipes, my dear friends. Okay, for that I will try to go back. One example. Now, what do you mean by pipes? So I would like to talk about pipes in Angular. So in the older versions, pipes are called as filters. Pipes also called as filters. Now, if you have a result set, among that result set, if you wanted to print only a particular items, that is where these pipes will comes into a picture. So in the all the latest versions, these filters are renamed it as pipes. Okay, so we don't want to confuse people. So the pipes, since we are using a pipe symbol, so see, yes, only this uppercase we have a CSS property text transform, but not for other pipes. You guys are right. Now let me see here. Now pipes are used. Basically, these pipes are used to transform values in Angular template. Now, which is used to transform. Pipes are used to transform a data, transform a data into a template, into a template. This is the main purpose. Now, Angular also comes back with the built-in pipes. Angular has some built-in pipes. Angular comes back with built-in pipes. Now, if you ask me, guys, always you have to give the syntax of using a pipes. If you see in the inside the expression, you must have to go for in our case we have used category is one of the property, if you say, followed by pipe and the pipe name. Here you have to give some pipe name, and different pipes are already inbuilt. I'll explain what are the built-in pipes. Now in Angular, if you can see, there are many pipes are there. So right from the beginning, let me go for lower case. For example, first uppercase we have already seen, uppercase pipe. Similarly, lowercase pipe is also there, and we also have currency pipe. Currency pipe is there to display currency types, whether dollar or rupee or pound or yuan and dinar. If you wanted to display the dollar, this all, and decimal pipe, decimal points. If you wanted to print, decimal pipe is also there to print a decimal numbers. And we also have JSON pipe. If the data, if you wanted to print in a JSON format, we have a JSON pipe. And we also have some percentage. Percent pipe is also there to display the information in percent. So we also have async pipe. And we also have title case pipe. Title case. This is also data representation. Title case pipe is also there. And I think these are the most possibly which I have used in multiple cases when we are working on real-time applications. In case if some of them are missing, you can go to your documentation and you can understand. So these are the important pipes, my dear friends. And also, since I discussed about a pipe, so for each one of them, so date format, and for date also, I think date pipe is also there. If you wanted to display the date in the format, date pipe is there. Now guys, listen carefully. Now let me start with the date pipe, and this is very important. Step by step, I will just give information for each one of them. And Since you see here, I wanted to display one heading EH. So here maybe display date. Just an example. But date is not coming from my API. How I'm going to display that? Very simple. If the date is not coming from an API, you can also put a statically bus date. Statically you can put here maybe what is today and YMD format. I can also go for 30. So I can give a static value 30 -04 -20 21. This is possible. So if you go back and reload your site, you can see the display date. Now this is coming 30/04/21, but here you can't even apply your pipe. Why? Because so the format is just only a text format you have used. This is a static way of displaying the data. In case, my dear friends, you see here what I'm going, this date also I'm manipulating inside my component. You see here inside ng on in it. Now I'm going to prepare, you see here today, I'm creating today is equal to one string. I'm just creating this. I'm going to manipulate this dot today is equal to new of date. This new of date is a predefined object. Now what is the date is not assignable to your type string. So since I declared as a string here, it is not assignable to your date string it is given. So that I'll make it as any. So that for a safer side, since it is the return type is date it is given. Okay, fine. Now you see, I am going to print this today. Today, if you try to see, guys, listen carefully. Alert. If I try to alert this dot today, which is giving such a bigger string. Now I don't want that such a bigger string. Let me see here. Now this is how the date format is giving, but I wanted to print in YMD or DMY format. If that is the case, that is where this date filters will be useful, my dear friends. Now go back. Here I can use my property today. How can I use my property? You see here, and today is my property. If I print today directly, now you can also check the bigger date format is printing, I guess. Now it is printed Friday, April 30. There is a story completely it is printing. But I don't want to print like this. I wanted to print in the format of either YMD format or DMY format according to requirements, or to display more beautifully. I wanted to use a pipe. That is where you need not to write a logic. This pipes is already inbuilt logic is there, and I can use a date pipe. Within that, either date, month, year. This is how you can even reformat, transform your data. If you go and check what is the format that we'll get, we'll try to check. Now see how easily it is changed. Now 30, oh my god, month it is giving 1/4/2021. So somewhere that logic is missing. Now let me give capital MM. Because 04 it's supposed to print, but it is giving 1/4. That is wrong. Yes. Hope you understand. Any questions here? I hope the information, this session is informative. Guys, how did you feel about these sessions, my dear friends? If you guys are, getting satisfied, session, please try to give a comments. And your valuable comments are very, very important for us. Whatever you feel, you please try to give your comments, so that will be useful for next people. At least we can also make use of your comments, and we can deliver even more quality. Quality is our main concern, my dear friends. Whatever the examples, whatever you guys feel free to give that comments. and comments with respect to the training what I delivered so far, not your own comments. And some people are giving some different comments as well. Sure, we will definitely provide. You guys please in touch with me. I can even give you a lot more information, and I can even step up your career by giving right guidance, my dear friends. If possible, you please try to give me a rating in the scale of 1 to 5. 5 is best and 1 is least. And if you can give me like that, it will also be useful. Of course, Sri Vamsi, I am sure I will definitely provide all the source code. Okay. Now see, date pipe I have used it. In case in the place of price, for example, if you wanted to use a price, then price come in uppercase and lowercase. Anyhow, it is simple, and we can also go for different other pipes. So sometimes if the three different pipes are not helping us, you can also go for our own pipes. Now, see in our example, we have given closely around the price also we are displaying in a component. So now how I am going to use currency pipe. So since we are in India, our currency is rupee. So how I am going to display that currency pipe. So we'll try to see that. Now guys listen, the price we are displaying here. Go back to our code. Now we are just displaying 695. The users are not in a position, they are not in a position to understand whether it is a dollar or whether it is a rupee or whether it is in I don't guys, if you want full stack, you please try to raise a request to I know ExcelR will definitely do one complete coding session to build a full stack application with Angular. I'm taking your request, Srivanshi. Next, my dear friend, see now currency. I just wanted to display that in a format of INR. How I am going to display? If you can see, wherever the currency, the pipes are always we have to use pipe symbol followed by pipe name. Now currency is a predefined pipe. If I use currency predefined pipe, now let me go for the default currency is dollar. That is going to print. See, we should always think why default, people are always going for dollar. Can you guys start thinking? Now, so if you ask me, now US people, they are always, controlling, right? The entire, IT also it is controlled by US. That is where people are always keep giving the default currency type, and everywhere people used to say that America is topmost country where the technology is improved a lot. Of course, it is right, and those guys are using Indian knowledge and they are just building their own, products. Even this Angular is also built on, built by Google, the Google company, which is headquartered in US. Now, if you want INR format, now how see, now you see here currency colon the parameters that you can pass. Here I can pass INR. If I try to pass INR, go and check. So it is going to give INR format, rupee. Now people are seeing now the information since you are giving, that is a global format. You are, of course, you are right, because that is a no, America is a global company. I can say global country, universal currency. So to whom we will call it as universal currency? And if multiple countries are using a same currency type, dollar, that is very universal. Even in India also, and Hindi is called as mother tongue. Why? Because multiple states are using. Same way dollar is being used in multiple countries. That is where it is called as universal. That's okay. I don't want to debate on that. Let's come back. Now the currency filter also I have used it. Hope you people are comfortable. Now this is all about pipes. If you guys wanted to create your own pipes, and Angular is also coming back, and it will allow you to create your own pipe, that is custom pipe. However, yesterday I created a custom directive. We can also create a custom. But when you are talking about the pipes, there are two types of pipes are there. One is pure pipes, another one is impure pipes. But by default, all the pipes which are there in Angular, the default is pure. All the built-in pipes so far, maybe whatever we discussed, INR or maybe a date or maybe uppercase and decimal, these guys are pure pipes. Okay, next, the pure pipes and impure pipes, these guys are two different categories. Angular execute a pipe only when it detects the perfect change in the input value. If the input value is obsolete, then the pure pipes are going to execute it. It detects the perfect change in the input value. Guys, all the primitive input values like number or boolean or symbol or strings and changed object references like array, function, object, and date, these guys are absolute. It will detect the perfect change. Those guys are absolute values. If you wanted to change those absolute values, that is where this pure pipes comes into your picture. Now impure pipes. In case Angular, see, the moment guys, sometimes the values which are going to change, that input values are not absolute. Those guys are going to keep changing based upon the interactions or events which are going to perform by a user. I mean to say, let me check. For example, we are working on drawing based application. Now in a drawing, we can't even, the data will also keep moving, because the moment when the user is keep drawing, the pixels are keep changing. Now that data is not absolute. It is not, Angular cannot even detect the right change. Why? Because the values are keep changing based upon the keystroke or a mouse move of an user. In such cases, the impure pipes are often called every keystroke or mouse move. So in such cases, impure pipes, if the information, if the data is not obsolete, if the detection, if and every corrupted, see, for example, when we are executing the corrupted pipe during the every component change detection life cycle, these impure pipes are often called on every mouse move or every keystroke, but because the information is not stagnant, it is going to keep changing. It is not static. Now we should always work on pure pipes, not impure pipes. Even Angular team suggested to go for pure pipes, not impure pipes, so that if the values are numbers, or if the values are boolean or symbol string or array, symbol string, those kind of values that we can transform from one state to another state, not a values which are not even having a proper state. That is why make sure that when you are working on the pipes, so whether you can transferable a particular data or not, that is also important. If you are giving a different format of a data, if you are applying a pipe, if it is not impacting, then So don't even be panic enough, right? Because pure pipes are always important, which are going to detect the perfect change in the input value. If the input value is not a right value, then the pipes are not going to impact. So the creating custom pipes, as usual, however, we created a custom directive yesterday, and even we have an also option to create ng generate p for pipe. So the creating command, now you see here, now ng generate p and pipe. So we can also create just one sample pipe. Now I'll create one sample pipe, my dear friends. Now for example, if I wanted to find out a square root, very simple one I'm explaining, I don't want to take bigger one. So square root. So for that I am giving sqrt, sqrt, square root pipe. If I'm giving like this, you can also create a bigger pipe. That story is different. Now, which will automatically generate a pipe behind the scenes. Now you see here, two files are generated, and it is updated into app.module. Now, if you go back to your pipe, go to the root directory. So here the pipe is also generated. Guys, here @pipe is a decorator. The square root is a now the name of your pipe is sqrt. Now here this transform, every pipe method will have a transform intro. Guys, this is here you can see everywhere. Maybe if you go to the service, you could have seen service is only one class file. Maybe if you go to the component, any component, block component, you see here, you guys are observing here implements. Now implements on in it, and the same way even the pipe is also implementing pipe transform. But implements is a keyword which will be used to inherit the interface. Those who are coming from C++ or Java background, extends and implement, these guys are two different keywords to implement the inheritance. But extends is for inheriting the class or abstract class. Implements is for inheriting the interface. Now you guys should also understand what is abstract class, what is interface. All these guys, it is much needed, but it's fine. Now pipes transform is our interface. From that interface we have a transform method that this is pipe transform is a interface class. Now transform is a method. Now this transform, the logic we have to write, all the pipe logic we have to write it here. We have to collect a value. So since it is a square root, we should always expect the number, my dear friends. Now instead of using any, since we know that we are square rooting of a number and other arguments are not required. And the return type is also, we can even declare this as a number. Why? Because square root of a number will always return a return type as number. Next, very simple logic. Instead of writing too much of other logic, we know we have learned mathematic logic. Math.sqrt is a predefined function. Sqrt of whatever the value that we have collected here. This is a value that we have collected. We are passing it. Now, guys, this my pipe, it is a custom pipe which I created. This custom pipe is converting whatever you pass a number, that number square root it is going to fetch. Where are we going to use this one? You please try to understand. Now if you come back, so the square root pipe I have created, and let me go back and use square root of a number. Now, so in any component, I can also go for a block component or any component, and if you wanted to use it in a block component, or else let me go for service component only. I am going to use it. First, you guys have to service component HTML, since we have already made an entry. Now guys, I'm just printing out of this table. h1 square root of 25 is equal to, here you try to see, let me pass a value 25 and I am just giving a pipe symbol, and I am going to use custom SQRT is the pipe which I have created. Let me check whether it is going to work or not. I wanted to check. So this is there in about. If something I think it is working, super. Let me go. Square root of 25 is 5. That is how you can even create a multiple pipes, my dear friends. You are not only all the pipe logic that you have to put it inside that. Now either you can even keep this one as a string or you can also keep this one as a number. Okay, now the pipes also we discussed. Guys, in case if you guys wanted to use any external modules, in case for example, and important, now I'll tell you, important modules in Angular. If you ask like this, you should also learn, and reactive forms module that we learned, see, and router module also we have learned. HTTP client module, reactive forms module is for implementing a reactive form validation, and router module is for implementing routers, and HTTP client module is for making Ajax calls. So this not only 3 but many are there, but I'm just checking whether important concepts have been covered into my session or not. That is what I'm just cross checking, my dear friends. Like that you can also learn many things, because see, learning is never ending, and every day new features are keep coming into a picture. And I think whatever we planned for this particular session, we are almost close to delivery. And so I think today is our last session. Okay, if you people have any questions, and you can also reach out to our admin team. Okay, and so this source code, what we will try to do, I'll upload tomorrow and day after tomorrow. Since I have a weekend, I will try to upload all this source code into a drive. And however you guys are getting assignments, in the same way you will also get our source code, whatever the examples. If you can see, I think we also learned a lot of things during our training. And you see here we also learned Bootstrap, CSS, JavaScript examples, and TypeScript examples, and also sample projects. And we also learned a lot more things. All this source code, whatever I learned, I'm not saying that this is sufficient enough. This is giving a heads up. I think before attending this class and after attending this class, there is a huge difference. I think you people are already comfortable now what is Angular, isn't it? And you should also know how this Angular is been helping to build a single page application architecture. So did you guys gain some sort of knowledge? At least those who are completely new, hope you guys got some sort of information from this particular training. And since you have spent almost 40 hours of training, this 40 hours, I think you have learned many things. Lohit Madhu, Sridhar Rao, and even Sri Vamsi, Aman Chaudhary. And see, these people and few members I could see, those guys are joining every day. And I should appreciate all the people, those who are participating and regularly. And my dear friends, you try to utilize these kind of opportunities, whoever is giving. And so I should be thankful for all you guys, and you should also be thankful to ExcelR for providing such kind of beautiful and informative sessions. And feel free to ask if you have any questions with respect to today's session. And still, if you need further more information, and if you guys want a complete, information and whatever it is required, you please try to reach out to XLR. XLR will definitely help you to craft your career. And we have a lot of success stories. Those who are non-technical side, and we have trained them and we got to place them inside a good companies. Even a technical people, non-technical people, our program has crafted in such a way that, and even our, you know, the program designers are IIT alumnus. Those who are experts in almost 25 to 30 years of experience they have in their career. That is where we can proudly say that our program will definitely help all of the people. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask now, or else So today I'll try to wait until 9 o'clock. So if you have any further questions with respect to anything, I'm happy to. Someone is asking me to explain about reactive form validation. Sure, I'll definitely explain about form validation again, and also feel free to ask now what is required for you. Now, guys, listen carefully. I just wanted to give more information, which is if you wanted to get a job, my dear friends, now you see here to get a job. For getting a job, and qualification plays very important role. You need a good qualification. Along with this qualification, you also need to have a right skills. That is very, very important, my dear friends. Skill set. Right skills. That is also, see, I have seen many of the people, those who are good at Java, they are still working on testing. Those who are good at, logics, they are still working in designing side. I don't know why. So I'll tell you the job opportunities also. I'm just coming back to that particular, area. Now the skills are important. Right skills are very important, and identifying a right knowledge from a student is also art. That is where we are expertise. And once you get a right skills, you should also have a right problem solving skills. That is very, very important, because everywhere we know problem solving skills. Everywhere when you are working on a project, we will get a different problems, and we should also know problem solving skills. We should also be good at debugging skills. We should know how to identify the problem. That is comes under debugging skills. And a person should also be good at, if you come back, so we should also know the different tools and tools, some editors, like tools for writing a code, tools for testing, tools for pushing the code, tools for checking the performance. That real life tools are very, very important for you to understand. Next, also you need to have good presentation skills. If you know the information, that is not sufficient enough, my dear friends. You should know presentation skills. You should know how to present very well. Even maybe if you guys are a final year guys, when you are giving a viva, so nobody is going to expect every line of code, and people are going to, external lecturers are keep coming to your college, and they are going to check whether how presentive you are. So that is where the presentation skills plays very important role. And also presentation skills and attitude. This is very, very important. This is where the freshers are lagging behind. Many of the freshers are lagging behind on this area, because they don't know how to behave with the people. So they will try to behave. Some people are reserved. They will talk to only South Indians, North Indians, Andhra, Telangana, and they won't even speak much. Those kind of bad attitude will definitely create a lot of it. It will put you into the problems, my dear friends. Good attitude, positive attitude is always important than negative attitude. That's why behavior is also plays very important role. So in order to become a successful person, if you show attitude, end of the day you will be the loser, not an interviewer or any other people. The fresher should learn all this. Discipline is very important. Now discipline also plays discipline is also plays very important role in order to get a job. And at last, you need a good mentor. Support is important. Someone should support you when you are facing a problem, and you also need a good guide. This is very important. Good guide is very important. Guide, also called as mentor or called as tutor. Now, see, if you ask me, qualification something that you have already acquired. You learned, you got a degree. Now, skill in the skill area also we are improving, and XLR comes into a picture to enhance your skills, and XLR will also help to resolve your problem, to improve your problem solving and debugging skills and tools also. Since this is a short span of time, we did not even get much time to talk about multiple tools. We will also definitely explain different tools which software companies are using. We'll also help presentation skills, how to improve attitude, discipline, and we'll also give a support. We'll also guide you right technology. Except qualification. This is something that you guys have already having. Remaining all other areas, guys, we will also help you guys for resume preparation. We'll also support in resume preparation. We can also conduct some mock interviews because many people are freshers. You don't know how to appear for interviews. For that, to get hands-on experience, we will conduct mock interviews. We'll also give some projects. Project information is also will help projects. We'll also help you guys to learn some industry standards. Industry standards is very important. So we'll also support right after a job. We'll also support right after a job also. Support after the job also. So these many benefits are there in case if you want a good job. So XLR is the best place for you people to pursue for that. Okay, so if you need to talk to me, and feel free to. And one more thing, with respect to the certificates, some people is asking about certificate. Guys, those who got who attended, 80% of the attendance is there. Those guys will definitely get a certificate from our end. Those who are joining only 1 or 2 days, and certificate is not for you people. 80% attendance is mandatory for you people to get a certificate. The certificate will also mailed by my admin team within very short span of time to your email IDs. I think you guys have already given an email IDs. They will try to submit. And various, what is the difference between Rfjs and observables? Guys, Rxjs and observables, when you are hitting a APIs, if you wanted to implement the APIs, if you are wanted to collect the data, this observables is also for placing a request from client side to a server in the place of Ajax. But promises and observables are there, and observables will be useful for hitting a APIs and get the data continuously. You can even keep getting the data from APIs, and multiple times you can also observe the data. Rxjs is a class which has a lot of operators. Those operators will be useful for us to to get the data from a middleware. And promises and observable, there is a difference. Promises execute only once, and it will get observables. It will fetch the data multiple times. So tell me the difference between synchronous and asynchronous calls. Yes, Vaibhav. Synchronous calls, for example, when you are sending a request from client to a server, asynchronous means that all the requests which we are sending from client, those guys are not storing in a queue. In an event loop, they are not going to store in a queue. They are always going in a asynchronous fashion. As long as if server will also accept all the request and it will try to send the response. Whereas coming to the synchronous calls, every request has to wait in a queue. So, but many cases we have to put a asynchronous calls Vaibhav. Why? Because we don't need to wait any client to wait until the response comes. We have to serve them as long as once the response is ready. Synchronous calls is very few cases that we have to implement. Why? Because those requests are waiting in a queue. Hope you understand. Vaibhav? So let me talk. Since someone asked about the job openings, guys, if you see the statistics, so job openings for Angular developers, Angular jobs. Even in only Bangalore, we'll try to check. So if you check in Bangalore, sir, guys, you see here in Naukri itself there are 4,868. It's just only Angular keyword. But if you still go for other areas now, see Angular JS 521, just Angular, there are many openings are there, and so front-end developer is also comes under Angular. There are 5,000 plus jobs, and in LinkedIn, even Naukri, Monster, if you see closely around 30,000 openings will be there across the India. Now, even if you see Angular is also part of JavaScript. If you see JS jobs, JavaScript job, because all these guys are related to JavaScript. For a freshers also you can check, and experience also you can check. There are thousands of openings will be there, boss. You see here 14,000. This is just, it will be keep updating on Naukri only. Like that, there are a hell lot of job providers, 63,000 plus jobs in India. Now it is a huge impact, my dear friends. If you wanted to get a good salaries, and I would request all the people to turn into your front end. Why? Because if you get into the front end, it is easy for you to it is easy for you to go back to a middleware and database as well. Why? Because if you want to become a programmer, directly jumping into a middleware and database, it will confuses you guys. That's why better to jump into the front end and slowly move on to the middleware, then slowly move on to the back end. And since Vaibhav, I'll tell you, my dear friends, my friend, if you want, for example, Vaibhav is asking a question difference between a synchronous and asynchronous. Let me explain for him. So if it is a client, we are sending a request to a backend. Now think about, my server resides at one place. I am going to send a request to a server. This is my server. Think about it. Now through Ajax, if you are sending a request, if this request, now think about it, guys. If the request is asynchronous, now Ajax can even take multiple requests from a client. It can also send multiple requests to the server. Now all the server requests which are not waiting in a queue, those guys are parallelly distributedly, they are just working. Vaibhav, you please try to see this. What I'm trying to say, in case this is asynchronously we are async, we are executing. When it comes to synchronous, what happens if the client is sending a request? Client is sending a request to Ajax. If it is a synchronous, what happens? Ajax is sending a request to a server. Until if client is sending one more request, until this first request gets completed, second request will be there in a queue. Third request will also be there in a queue. Fourth request will also be there in a queue. These guys, once this get completed, this will execute. Once this get completed, this will execute. Once third request gets completed, then only fourth request is going to enable the connection. This is what asynchronous means. Asynchronous, parallelly all the code is executing, whereas synchronous is executing that request one by one. Hope, did you get an answer now? At least Vaibhav. But where there is no multi-threading concept, Mr. Srivamsi, here in front end, so it is all single thread. Madam Dr. Leela Kumari, so if you don't mind, can you please rate our training? Since I think you are a professor, I guess. Since you have already seen our training and quality, could you please rate our training, madam? Any other questions? So single thread. So single thread I already explained in JavaScript. If one task is running, JavaScript event loop is not going to take another task. So which will try to wait that particular thread in a queue. Whereas coming to Java, which is going to execute in different thread. Multi-threading is available in Java. Tell me server related issues. I think for a front end, there is no much problems in server related. Why? Because server related issues that can be taken care by a backend guys. We don't need to worry much about server related issues for a front end guys, Mr. Sivakrishna. Say Lohit Madhu, you can ask ExcelR to provide my details. Okay, they will try to give my details, so you can directly reach out to me. So which language is faster, either JS or Java? Guys, if you ask me, JavaScript is faster than Java. Why? Because since it is a scripting language, that it runs on the first layer, that is a client layer. The programming languages which runs on server, which will take some time to load compared to JS. Because JS runs on client side, which is always faster than Java. And the development, see, there is no such comparison between a Java and JS, guys. Java has, because he is a leader in his area, JavaScript is also leader in his area. I don't want to, give a negative comments about Java. Why? Because Java is also important. Okay, if you people don't have any questions, I think we can wind up the session. Okay, thank you so much for your participation. I think it was a pleasant journey for me as well. I got a chance to interact with the youngsters like you people. Someone is asking, is it web scraping illegal? But of course it is illegal, right? If you are stealing information from internet, that is illegal. But there are some sites, if they don't have a patents and copyrights, then that is not illegal. If any sites, if they have a content, ratings, and of course, if anybody has a content rating, and if they have some copyrights, if you are still stealing that information, that is illegal. Thank you, madam. Thank you, Leela Kumari, for giving a rating. Sir, which connectivity is better, PHP or Ruby? So, bus PHP also works on server side and Ruby also works on server side. But it depends upon the clients. Both of them are open source. They are very good. While using Angular material fonts, what is the problem that you are facing? Viber Sarodin. Still you are typing, I guess. What you are getting an error? So just give me 1 minute, my dear friends. What is the error, Mr. Vaibhav? I am getting error of NG model. Yes. See, NG model, if you are working with two-way data binding, if you are working with a two-way data binding, you should always load that forms reactive forms module. Vaibhav, you should go back to apps module. In apps module, always forms module you have to load. If you are planning to work with NG model, forms module you have to load. Since you are not loading a forms module, that is where you are getting a NG model is not a directive. Vaibhav, try to load forms module. I think if you are looking at my screen, try to load a forms module inside app.module.ts. Can you please add it and check? Let me know in case if you are facing any difficulties still. Vaibhav. Why? ng model, no directory form. Still, after importing forms module in module.ts. Sir, I did that, but still I am getting that error. See, you do one thing, Vaibhav. You please try to upload your code into Slack bitch and try to connect with me. I must have to check is there any errors. Why? Because if you can see like this, if any dependencies are not loading, so your application will give this kind of errors. Now I wanted to check what are the dependencies. Yes, I understand. I understand. And you do one thing. If that is the case, kindly stop your compilation process and recompile again. Sometimes if it is there in a cache, if it is taken from cache memory, you will be getting still the old files, old lines of code would have been executed. And to avoid this kind of issues, try to refresh your complete flush out your cache memory and restart your machine again and try. Definitely it will work. Okay, even if you are getting the same issue, you do one thing. You try to upload your code somewhere else in GitHub or StackBlitch, reach out to us, and we'll try to resolve your problem. And whoever is, wanted to do on practicals, when you guys are doing practicals, if you face any issues, you can reach out to ExcelR. Definitely, we are going to help you out. Okay, guys? Okay, fine, guys. Thank you so much for your participation. Have a great weekend ahead. Take care, stay home, and stay safe. Bye bye.